Hello, this is KoalKingX. I recently made a video reviewing Inazuma 11, and I feel like I didn't really hit all the spots I wanted to hit, so I'm going to do that in this video. I'll warn you now, this may contain a few spoilers for those of you who haven't finished watching the show. So, if you don't really want the show ruined for you, you might want to not watch this video at all, or you might want to just skip some parts where I will tell you if I'm about to spoil it, so you can skip those parts. Okay, let's get started. Now, Inazuma 11 is a show with 127 episodes, 3 seasons, 1 movie, and a sequel called Inazuma 11 Go. So, basically, let me start off with Season 1. Alright, personally, I think Season 1 was probably the least exciting series because it was kind of slow just trying to set up everybody's character, just beginning. So, it wasn't the best season. Actually, ranking it, it was probably the worst. Not saying it was bad, but it's not as good as the other two that followed it. So, and there was a few problems I had with season 2. The main one being, this might be a spoiler for you if you haven't finished watching season 1. The main problem being was the way they introduced Ichinose, the American soccer player, who basically was like this. He got ran over by a car, and he didn't he got ran over by a car, and his friends thought he was dead. His friends being Aki and Domon. They basically thought he was dead for like a few years, and next thing you know, he just shows up on the soccer field playing a soccer game with Endo, and like they're looking at him going like, "Hey, aren't you dead?" And then like he just says, "No, I didn't die. I just told my dad to tell you I was dead." And when I heard that, I was like, "Really, man? You're gonna tell your best friends that you're dead just because you didn't want them to see you injured?" I thought that was pretty messed up and really got to me a little. Another quick problem I had with season 1 was Natsumi. It's not really a big problem, it was just a small thing that I thought they were going to keep going forever, but thank goodness they didn't. The problem was, basically I thought they were going to do, like she was basically going to keep trying to disband the soccer club over and over again, only to keep on failing. And I thought they was going to keep that going like some kind of Team Rocket then, over and over again. But they didn't, and that was good. I really thought that was going to be a really annoying gimmick, so I'm glad it was over. Now that I got a few of my problems out the way, I'd like to talk about a few of the things I did like. Like, for instance, the story of Kido and Haruna might be a spoiler for you again. Like, she was his sister. Basically, they were both orphans at an orphanage, and they both got adopted by different people. But so he wanted to live with his sister, so basically all the things he did was just so he could finally get a chance to live with his sister and for them to be together. And I thought that was a nice story. It was really it's nice. Like, it was really sweet. Got into his character a little, showed that he wasn't just a villain. He actually had a goal in mind. Aside from those storylines, I can't really find any other like special, great, important moments to really hit on in season 1. So I think I'm about to end my talk about season 1 about here, except for we got one more thing to say. Now, like, this is another spoiler possibly, because this is like way at the end of season 1. Now the Aphrodite and the Zeus team, they drank this aqua of the gods then, and wasn't that basically steroids? Because I'm pretty sure those were steroids. I mean, they tried to find another way to say it, but yeah, no matter how you look at it, those were obviously steroids, because it made him go mad a little. There was a scene where his muscles were growing bigger, and yeah, you don't become God from using steroids. Just a little thing I thought I had to say. Okay, now I get to talk about season 2, which was probably the most well, this is not really a negative comment, but it was the most ridiculous way the most ridiculous thing they probably could have done to the show, but I still enjoyed it anyways. But it was just really, really funny. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Alright, this might be a spoiler. So basically, you think from season 1, how do you add on to a show about kids with superpowers playing soccer? And what better way to do that than to introduce aliens from outer space who know how to play soccer just like humans do, because that's what they used to settle their problems. Soccer. Aliens playing soccer. There's no other way to say that. Aliens playing soccer. Aliens playing soccer. Okay. When I first understood that that's what the second season was going to be about, I thought, wow, that's kind of out there. Now it's kind of a stretch. But then again, Dragon Ball Z is about aliens, time travel, androids, and a lot of other ridiculous concepts that really wouldn't have worked together. So I thought, why not? Aliens playing soccer. I'm already in it this deep. Might as well keep going. And I really enjoyed it. It wasn't really as ridiculous as you thought. I mean, they downplayed the aliens then a little. And I'll talk more about why it really wasn't all that ridiculous at the end of season 3. I mean, at the beginning of season 3, you find out what it was really all about. Alright, the main reason I love season 2 so much is because that's when they introduced one of my favorite characters in this whole show. Probably one of the best players on the team. Like basically he had it all in story, character, like his attitude and everything. And like I think that's what basically almost every fan of Inazuma 11 would love about season 2 is because that's when they introduced Fubuki Shiro. Okay, now I could go into like the reasons why Fubuki is one of my favorite characters. There's quite a few of them, but I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. And if you haven't seen season 2 or know nothing about Fubuki, I suggest you stop watching this video and go see season 2 right now. I mean now. Go. Leave now and go see Fubuki Shiro, the greatest ice soccer player there ever was, if there ever was any ice soccer players. Okay. Now, when I first said Fubuki had it all in story, attitude, and all that, by story, first let me tell you about Fubuki's backstory, which is almost kind of sad, really. When Fubuki was really young, he lost basically his entire family in an avalanche. He had his mother, father, and his twin brother Atsuya. I'm gonna go with Atsuya. And basically, him and his brother always used to play soccer together. His brother Atsuya was the forward, and he was the defense. And then, like his father, right before his father died, he basically told the both of them, like basically if they were together, they would be perfect. And then after that, an avalanche happens. Like everybody in his family is dead except for him. And basically, like he has like his brother inside of him, like some kind of split personality issue going on. So whenever he has the ball, he like his brother takes over and like runs it and scores a goal. And that's how they introduce it at first. At first, everything seems fine with that. Nobody really knows what's going on with him. They just thought he was a little aggressive. But then the problem begins to develop as the season goes on. Basically, like he wants to be perfect and doesn't want his brother to take over every time. And yeah, that leads to a basic mental breakdown in the middle of the season, where he feels like he's not needed as himself or as his brother. It's like, cause I think that's when the Zarm showed up and like he wasn't able to score a single goal. And I like that story. It was really interesting. It was deep too. Really showed a lot about the character. Alright, so that's basically his backstory. And then trying to keep this as short as possible, I'll only say one other thing about Fubuki, and that's just I just like the way he acts. He's one of the cooler, more relaxed characters in the show, and that's more of he's different from the other characters, really. There are other things I really liked about season 2 was most of the aliens from Elia Academy. My favorites being Hiroto, Burn, Gazelle, Disharm. Not really Reze. Didn't really like him. Just kept spewing out old. What are those things called again? Proverbs. Yeah, he just kept saying proverbs over and over again. Got really old, really. Stale character. Wasn't much to him except at the end when he loses to, and wait a sec, that's not a spoiler. Of course he loses. The heck? When did a bad guy ever win? Anyways, when he loses to Endo, then you kind of see a little bit of his character, because most of the time he was very cocky and confident that he was gonna win, and then when he loses, like he has that look on his face of absolute fear, and you see why when the Team Epsilon shows up and just basically tells them to, and just banishes them away to wherever. I have no idea where they went. Okay, that's most of what I wanted to talk about. Now for just a few last minute things I wanted to say. First of all, I really hated that coach. That coach that showed up to help him defeat the aliens. That was the most annoying coach they ever had. She just kept saying random things that she had no explanation for whatsoever. Honestly, I think she was making everything up as she went along, kicking Goenji off the team, taking Endo off a goalkeeper. I think she just said that stuff and then hoped it worked out, because most of the things she said, Kido had to end up explaining later why it made sense and why it had to be done. I mean, really, she was really annoying. I was glad that she was gone at the end of the season. And another problem I had at season 2, probably my biggest problem of season 2, was Kageyama. I mean, the guy broke out of jail, I think back at that point a good 3 times, and I was just wondering what kind of system were they using for this guy to be able to get out of jail not once, not twice, but 3 times and go back to exactly what he was doing before? I mean, how was he able to do that? I mean, I understand if you break out of jail, don't you have to go into hiding for a while? But no, he doesn't go into hiding. He comes right back and does exactly what he was doing before, as if nothing has ever happened. And I'm pretty sure he's never gonna go to jail for anything, ever. I mean, the guy's like some kind of master escape artist or something. I don't know. Maybe he's the best criminal in the world, or that was the worst police in the world. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll continue the rest of my review/rants in part 2, which will be mainly about my favorite season, season 3, and I'll talk a little about the movie and the sequel. And one more thing before I go, there's a little problem I have. It's about Gazelle, his little Hitsatsu technique. Is it Northern Impact or Frozen Impact? I really don't know. I at first thought it was Northern, and then my ears were starting to go, like my ears heard something different each time. So if you could tell me what it really is, I'd appreciate it.